Alright, so today we are in for another little treat. We are inside a 2009 Cadillac CTS. This is the base model with the 3.5-inch display. And we are going to officially add the genuine Cadillac pop-up factory navigation system to this vehicle. So, as you can see, we've got the base display with the amber readout up there. No nav buttons on the control panel whatsoever. And we are going to move forward with adding navigation to this vehicle. So, I'll be back in just a second to show you the steps to do this. Alright, so to start, we got to get some trim panels off around the shifter. We got to get the shifter out of the way. That's just what I prefer to do. There's less chance of things getting messed up that way. And that little boot that goes around the very bottom of the shifter, it's a very tight fit, but little pry tool and that'll just pop right down. And then there's a T15 Torx that sits right in there where you'll loosen. Just gonna allow that to slide just right off, and now we can get our boot out of the way. Then we need to pop the side panels off on each side. And that's going to expose a couple 7mm bolts on both sides at the very bottom in the corners. Those need to loosen and come out. And you'll likely want to go on up on top. And need to get these little panels out of the way. Everything's just push clips. And this guy here, same situation. You gotta be careful because it slides in. You can notice those hooks right there. So, we're gonna need to get this shifter kind of up out of our way, which is gonna require putting it into neutral. This guy should just pop up and out of our way, just like that. So, that out. Actually, we'll go ahead and keep this out of our way. This guy. Lift right off, up, out of the way. Will kind of allow us to slide things back. Shut the key back off so we don't set any codes. And there's just a couple connectors securing that. So next we'll be removing the radio and doing some work with some of the plugs and whatnot. So I'll be back shortly to show you some of this. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and remove the radio. Like that, and you got some plugs on the back. Plug in, get out. Alright, so on this CTS, when adding the nav, there's not a whole lot of room to bring the cables up through, so we're going to make a hole right through here with a unibit and a cordless drill. So through there, clean up our stuff here, shavings, and that should give us room. We may have to enlarge this a little bit more, but that should give us room to bring up the plugs. Alright, so we're going to go back in with some components. We'll start with the screen, plugging everything up. This screen can be a little bit of a bear to get in because of the way the dash is shaped. So you got to kind of work each side in. Get the corners around. And make sure you're not pinching the wires down in there. It's going to be very important. I got to work these up out of the way. But we're going to go right in on the sides. We're going to want to raise this screw first. Allow us access to get to these access points right there. Screw these in, but I got some wires I got to move up out of the way, which I'll do right now, and I'll be right back. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is start one of these by hand. Right down here in the middle is about the best. And we will be supplying these little well nuts because you're only going to have the one coming from the factory over here on the right. So the left and down here in the center, you're going to have to be adding. We'll supply those. Like that. See, it sits nice and flush to the dash, all good to go. Alright, so next comes the radio. We'll go ahead and make some connections there. I'll be back to show you that. Alright, so we have a supplied harness here with the new 20 pin plug that goes into the radio. It'll have a lead out for your camera. Everything will be labeled nice and neat for you, exactly where everything goes. We've got our voice guidance wires going back to our amp. We've got our voice recognition wires going to our OnStar module so you can talk to it. VSS we've decided is not really needed if you want to get real picky about it. For under tunnels and stuff, I can't explain where to go. It's not a lot of fun, but I will explain where to go in the instructions. Of course, GPS antenna. This is our remote enable turn on wire, ties into pin 43, white wire in this harness. This is our data wire going back to the newly supplied amp. That's what basically turns on the amp and tells the volume up and down. Goes to pin number 14, which is a dark green wire. Sits right here in this corner. That's your data wire. We're also going to have a power and ground lead right here, which will run over under the dash. We're going to tie into the BCM and then go to sheet metal down there for your ground, and then the elusive video cable. Basically, it's so hard to get. We will be supplying these as well. So screen is in. You'll notice holes back here that we drilled earlier to allow for cables to come through. We also made another one. Got the screen all mounted in right now. So we're going to go ahead and get all this cleaned up, buttoned up real nice, and we'll show you the connections at the amp and then give you the final outcome. Alright, so we are here in the back trunk of this CTS, and we're going to have to get to this left side inner panel in there. So we're going to remove some clips to expose that side carpeting. This guy down here, got some little plastic inserts to go around these guys here, and they just pop out. That's the easiest way to then get this panel out, which lifts straight up. You can see where the clips click in right there. amplifier we're going to be working on is right there.
So we're back in the CTS here in the trunk area. This is the new amplifier that was added, and there's quite a bit of wiring that has to be changed and even added to this circuit to make this all work. It's way too much to get into in a video. You're going to have to refer to the instructions that's going to be sent to you. It's going to be very detailed, wire color, where pins need to go. We're even going to provide the pins to populate the plugs that are going to have to be added. Basically, I just wanted to give you a heads up on this though. This is the trunk area. All the amplifiers are mounted right there, the left panel of the trunk area here, and the wire is just going to be ran up nicely behind the back seat. Obviously this is going to be all taped up here and we're done, and pretty much hidden out of sight, out of mind. But you will have to make some changes here, but it's way too complicated, like I said, to get into through a video. It's basically going to need to be referred to as sheet and pin out colors. Everything will be provided, as well as the pins to terminate the plugs.
So we are on the left side dash. You want to remove that side access panel, and then there's a black block right in there that holds those two gray connectors. You want to be on the bottom connector. Those tan and gray wires going into it right there are the tweeter wires, tweeter and door speaker. You're going to be on the back side of the plug. You're going to want to cut them, and then you're going to want to tie to the wires going up into the dash there. Solder on there. These are going to be your tweeter leads. It's going to be the same on the right side. I'll shoot a video for that as well. But then these got to have to run all the way to the back, and we'll tie them into the amplifier, and I'll explain those connections when we get back there. So we're now on the right side of the dash with the side dash panel exposed, and you've got these two gray plugs right in here in this black housing. That housing will pop off and will allow you to access to the back side of it. And we've got a light green and dark green wires right there. Those are going to need to be cut and insulated back. The wires going into our harness or our tweeter wires, well, we'll solder on our leads and run them back to the amp. And we've also got braided wire. This is going for our voice guidance wires that tie into the amp as well. And these are going to run together back to the trunk. We'll tie everything in back there and go over all that.
We're back here in the CTS, and after further testing we've discovered that the factory tweeter that comes in the car is not capable of providing the voice guidance through the navigation system. It's missing this. If you notice the difference in the two, this one's obviously got the tweeter on top, then it's got this built-in, this is basically a dual voice coil speaker. You will need to upgrade to this dual voice coil speaker to make the navigation commands audible through the system, and to be able to use the Bluetooth properly and able to hear conversations. Once again, this is the factory little small speaker that comes in these guys. You're just basically going to remove that, and you're adding this 3.5-inch dual voice coil speaker. We can provide, or we can also tell you where to get those locally.
Another quick note, instead of going to the BCM, this wire is much bigger right here. It's a red and white stripe. We need constant power for that screen. So we can come right here to this plug. Same plug we went to for the left front tweeters. Alright, so we're going to go back in with this radio. Now, one thing I will point out, we are actually upgrading this vehicle. These radios can be a real pain to get back in there. This new radio is an actual hard drive, so we're going to be upgrading to the hard drive with nav, and it will also gain the buttons on the control panel, which I'll show you here in a second for that as well. So we'll go ahead and bolt all this in, and I'll be back shortly to fire this thing up. Here we are back inside this CTS. We have officially added the factory pop-up navigation. Quite the little project, but we got it done, and we'll show you the final outcome here. Cadillac logo, screen comes right on up. and of course full display on map. So we've now got full touchscreen display. We've also got because this will come with a new control panel, which gives you the nav up and down button to raise and lower the screen. That will then change the display to the little 3.5, just like the old. Then you can go back up. You've got the nav and destination hard buttons right on the control panel there. So this does require quite a bit of rewiring, which will be explained in the instructions in full detail. There is way too much to go into in a video, so if you want to do this upgrade, you're going to need to want to be able to pay attention to instructions and follow very, very well. So with that said, we've got all our audio levels right where they're supposed to be. We've also got the voice rec features fully operational.
Jamal. Invalid command.
OnStar.
OnStar. Ready?
Bluetooth.
To pair your Bluetooth device now, say pair. Otherwise, say no.
Cancel.
Cancel. Returning to the main menu. Ready?
Cancel.
Cancel. Thank you. Goodbye.
So you can see the voice guidance or voice rec has nice audio, and then we've got good audio on the AM, FM, XM as well. So we did also integrate a backup camera into this, so we can program that to have that ready and functional for you as well. And like I said, all the instructions will be provided in written form. This is a lengthy process, but very well worth it at the end. And if you can follow the instructions to a T, you'll be very happy with the outcome. For more information, please call the number at the end of the screen.